What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Sports Lovers, where we talk everything sports related. In today's video, we are going to be predicting all 42 college football bowl games that will start next Friday. So the bowl season begins next Friday, and that is what we are going to be talking about in today's video, is the bowl games predictions for me. So if you guys are into sports, drop a like and subscribe, and let's hop into the video. Alright, so the first bowl game we have is the Bahamas Bowl. It will be at 11:30 a.m. on ESPN on Friday, December 16th, and it is between Miami and UAB. Miami of Ohio, rather, versus UAB. Now, for me, I haven't really watched any of these two teams. I live in Alabama, so I know that UAB is in the state. That is just who I'm going to pick right away, is the UAB Blazers to win that game. We'll say 17-14. Up next on December 16th, we have the Cure Bowl. Now in Orlando, Florida. This game is at 3 o'clock on ESPN, and it is between Troy and University of Texas San Antonio Arlington, now UTSA. Now Troy defeated South Alabama to win the Sun Belt Conference. I was mad about that because I'm a Jags fan. I live in the Mobile area. So there you go. I will pick Troy to win this game against UTSA because Troy is the number 24th ranked team in the nation. Up next, we have the Fenway Bowl, which is in Boston, Massachusetts. It is at 11 a.m. on December 17th, and it is between Louisville and Cincinnati. I haven't watched either of these two teams play at all this season, so I will pick Cincinnati to win this game. They're coming off that college football playoff drought this year, so I have the Cincinnati Bearcats bouncing back in this bowl game to win. Up next on December 17th, we have the Las Vegas Bowl, which is in Las Vegas, Nevada, at 2:30 p.m. on ESPN. Now, this is between Florida and Oregon State, SEC. I'm going to go with the SEC. I think Florida is a much better team than Oregon State. I watched a couple of Oregon State's games. From what it looks like, Oregon State will throw the ball a lot, and Florida will try to use Anthony Richardson to run the ball with his legs. So I predict that Florida gets more production out of their offense, and Florida will win the game. We'll say 24-17. Up next, we have the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl, which is in Inglewood, California on December 17th at 3:30 p.m. ABC. Washington State versus Fresno State. I will just pick Washington State. I don't really know much about these teams, so I will pick Washington State to win this game. Up next, we have the Lending Tree Bowl, which is in Mobile, Alabama. And it will be at 5:45 p.m. on ESPN. It is between Southern Miss and Rice. I have a friend who goes to Southern Miss, two friends who go to Southern Miss, actually. So I would be choosing Southern Miss. They are in the same conference as South, Troy. And Southern Miss is going to be the winner of this game, I believe. Up next, I have the New Mexico Bowl, and it is going to be December 17th at 7:30 on ESPN. All games will be on the ESPN networks, by the way. It is between BYU and SMU, and I will choose BYU to beat SMU in this bowl game. Up next, we also have the Frisco Bowl, which is in Frisco, Texas, at 9 p.m. on ESPN. Late start for me. It is between North Texas and Boise State. I will pick Boise State. That is where Auburn's former coach had. I've heard Boise State's having a somewhat of a decent year, so I believe Boise State will win this game. Up next, we have the Myrtle Beach Bowl, which is in South Carolina, and it is at 2:30 p.m. on December 19th. It is between North Texas versus Boise State, and I believe it was between Marshall and UConn, rather. I believe UConn will win this game. I don't know what else to say about that. Up next, we have the Potato Bowl, which is in Idaho. It is between San Jose State and Eastern Michigan, so I believe San Jose State will win this game. I watched them against Auburn. Auburn struggled with them. They are a really good team. So I picked San Jose State. It starts at 3:30 p.m. on ESPN. Up next on December 20th, we have the Boca Raton Bowl, which I have no idea what that bowl game is, but it is between Toledo and Liberty. Now, if you don't know, Auburn hired Hugh Freeze who coaches at Liberty, or who used to coach at Liberty, so I will be choosing Liberty to win this game. Liberty has had a rough year, but I do believe they will get the win over Toledo. Up next, we have the New Orleans Bowl on December 21st. It is at 9 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN. It is between Western Kentucky and your one and only South Alabama Jaguars. I believe South is going to win this game. Their quarterback is great. They like to run the ball a lot with their quarterback. They also can hit you downfield with some passes. From what I saw when I went to one of their games, they can throw the ball a lot. They will utilize their defense. Their defense is also really good. They are 10-2 on the year. Their only conference loss being to Troy, who is ranked. So I do believe South Alabama will get the win against Western Kentucky. And Western Kentucky did not look that great against Auburn. So my prediction for that bowl game is that South Alabama will get the win. Moving on to the Armed Forces Bowl in Fort Worth, Texas. It is at 7:30 p.m. again, and it is Baylor versus Air Force. Now Baylor's old coach was the Panthers coach. If you guys didn't know, Matt Rule got fired by the Panthers. He has been hired at Nebraska. So I do predict Baylor to win this game. Baylor has looked good this year despite all their stuff that's been going on. So I predict Baylor to win this game. Up next, we have the Independence Bowl at 3 o'clock on ESPN. It is between Houston and Louisiana. I'm just going to outright say I believe that Houston will win this game. Not much needed to be said. Next, we have the Gasparilla Bowl on December 23rd at 6:30 p.m. between Missouri and Wake Forest, another SEC team playing in a bowl game. I believe Missouri will win this game. Missouri has looked good at times, but I do believe Missouri has some things they need to work on. But overall, I think Missouri will get the win over Wake Forest. Up next, we have the Hawaii Bowl, which is in Honolulu. It is between San Diego State and Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee, I believe, will win this game. I think Middle Tennessee will upset San Diego State. But I don't know much about those two teams either. So, moving on. Up next, we have the Quick Lane Bowl at 2:30 p.m. It is between Bowling Green and New Mexico State. Now, Bowling Green is a team in the Sun Belt Conference, I believe. So, I will pick Bowling Green to beat New Mexico State. Up next, we have the Camellia Bowl, which is in Montgomery, Alabama, at noon on ESPN, between Buffalo and Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern has been rocky at times this past year. I've watched a couple of their games. But I do believe Georgia Southern will get the win. Their offense can be better than Buffalo's offense. I don't know much about Buffalo, so I will say that Georgia Southern will win this game. Up next, we have the First Responder Bowl at 3:15 on ESPN. It is between Memphis and Utah State. I think Memphis is going to win this game just because of their relevance. I don't really know Utah State that much, so I think Memphis will win this game. Up next, we have the Birmingham Bowl in Birmingham, Alabama at 6:45 p.m. on ESPN on December 27th. Coastal Carolina versus East Carolina. You already know I'm taking Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina almost beat South Alabama in the regular season finale, or one of their regular season finale games. So I do believe that Coastal Carolina will win this game. They have looked good over this past season. Their offense has been looking good. Their defense struggles a little bit. But overall, I do believe that Coastal Carolina will pull out the victory over East Carolina. Up next, we have the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, which is in Phoenix. I've never heard of this bowl before, believe it or not. At 10:15 on ESPN, another late start bowl game on December 27th. It is between Wisconsin and Oklahoma State. Now, this game, Oklahoma State, I do believe will pull off the victory. I watched the Beavers finale game, their regular season finale game, in which they looked really good. So, I am picking Oklahoma State to stay hot against Wisconsin to finish off their season. Up next, we have the Military Bowl at 2 o'clock on ESPN. It is between Duke and UCF. Go Knights, baby. I'm predicting the Knights to beat Duke in this bowl game just because Gus Malzahn had what he's done with UCF, turning it into from last year to this year has been incredible. UCF is ranked, I'm pretty sure. So UCF, I believe, will win this game. Gus Malzahn has turned that program around from last year to this year. It has been amazing to watch. Go Knights. I'm predicting the Knights to win this game. Up next, we have the Liberty Bowl, which is at 5:30 on ESPN against Arkansas and Kansas. Another SEC team, just going to outright say it, the SEC is the best conference in college football. I'm predicting Arkansas to beat Kansas in this bowl game. Not much needed to be said. Their quarterback is great. He can run with his legs, and he can throw the ball. So I am predicting that Arkansas will win this game. Up next, we have the Holiday Bowl, which is not on ESPN, surprisingly. It is on Fox at 7 o'clock, which it'll be Oregon versus North Carolina. That's a tough game for me to decide, but I'm going to choose the Ducks over North Carolina. North Carolina has been hot, but I think the Ducks will win this game. Bo Nix looks amazing, and for the Ducks, I think he will continue to do that, and I think the Ducks will win this game. Up next is a great bowl game to watch. It is the Pinstripe Bowl, or the Texas Bowl, rather. We'll go to the Pinstripe Bowl next. It is the Texas Bowl against Ole Miss versus Texas Tech. That is going to be an amazing game, and I do believe that Ole Miss will get the victory over Texas Tech. I have a friend who used to go to Texas Tech, a big Texas Tech fan, but I just believe that Ole Miss has the better offense. Kiffin just signed that 9-year extension. So I think they'll be in the right motivator to win that game as well for Lane Kiffin after coming off the loss to Mississippi State. Up next is the Pinstripe Bowl between Minnesota and Syracuse. I am predicting the Orange to win this game. Syracuse will win this game. That's all that there's needed to be said about that game. Up next, we have Oklahoma versus Florida State in the Cheez-It Bowl, and I do believe that Oklahoma will win this game because of what they have done with their program. They're coming to the SEC. They need this game to make a statement, and I believe Oklahoma will make that statement in this bowl game. Up next, we have the Alamo Bowl, which is San Antonio. It is between Texas and Washington. I think Texas also needs to make a statement for the SEC to believe in them that they could do whatever they want. So I believe Texas will also make that statement. Oklahoma and Texas both get their victories before moving to the SEC. Up next, we have the Duke's Mayo Bowl in Charlotte, North Carolina, between Maryland and NC State. I think NC State's going to win this game coming off of that overtime win against North Carolina in their regular season finale. So NC State will win this game. Up next, we have the Sun Bowl, which is in El Paso, Texas. It is at 2 o'clock on CBS between UCLA and Pittsburgh. I think UCLA will win this game. Obviously, not much needed to be said. Pittsburgh isn't a bad team. It's just that I think UCLA is the better team here. And then up next, we have the Gator Bowl, which is in Jacksonville, Florida at 3:30 on ESPN between Notre Dame and South Carolina. Another SEC team. South Carolina beat Tennessee this year. I think South Carolina is the better team. South Carolina's offense has been hot. Spencer Rattler has been amazing throughout this year. And I do believe that South Carolina will continue that streak and will win this game. Up next, we have the Arizona Bowl, which is at 4:30 on Barstool Network, which I have no idea what network that is. It is against Ohio versus Wyoming. I believe Wyoming will win this game just because of their relevance. But I don't know much about those teams either. Wyoming wins this game. Moving on to the Music City Bowl in Nashville, Tennessee. It is between Iowa and Kentucky. I do believe Kentucky will win this game just because they're in the SEC. And Iowa has looked good during this year, but they have like 4 losses. So Kentucky only has about 4 losses as well. But I think they are the better 4-loss team because they are in the SEC. Up next, we have the ReliaQuest Bowl at noon on ESPN2 on January 2nd between Mississippi State and Illinois. I believe Mississippi State will win this game coming off of that win against Ole Miss. I believe Mississippi State will continue that hot streak against Illinois. So Mississippi State wins this game. And finally, the last non-New Year's Six bowl game is the Citrus Bowl in Orlando, Florida. I'm wearing my Citrus Bowl t-shirt from when Auburn played in that game, but it is between the other Tigers of the SEC, which is LSU and Purdue. Purdue obviously coming off of that Big Ten championship loss, in which they hung with Michigan for most of it until the third quarter, where Michigan just went off. So expect the same from Purdue, but I do believe LSU will win this game because they are in the SEC. There's just better competition in the SEC. So LSU wins this game. And finally, the bowl games that everyone is going to be watching is the Selection Committee bowl games, which are the New Year's Six bowl games. To predict, there's 4 of them before we get to the conference finals or the national semifinals. So let's go ahead and predict these 4 bowl games. Up first on December 30th is the Orange Bowl between Tennessee and Clemson. This is a toss-up. Both quarterbacks are either transferring or are hurt. I don't expect DJ Ugangale to play in this bowl game. It's hard to say his name for whatever reason. So I believe Tennessee's offense will be better than Clemson's offense. Tennessee's defense also will stand up against Clemson's defense. Go Vols. I think the Vols are going to win this game. A win for the SEC. Up next is the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, Louisiana on December 31st. And it is between Alabama and Kansas State. Now, I think Alabama will win this game regardless if Bryce Young plays or not. Still a little skeptical about that. I just think Alabama's the better team in the SEC, and I do believe Alabama's the better team. Alabama gets the dub here against Kansas State. Up next, we have the Cotton Bowl in Arlington, Texas, between USC and Tulane. I do believe USC will win this game because Tulane is a no Power 5 conference for Tulane. I do believe USC will win this game. Caleb Williams is a Heisman finalist, which we will predict at the end of this video, and it is tonight. So stay tuned for that. Keep watching towards the end of the video. We're almost done anyway. Leave a comment if you stuck around this long during the video. Up next, the last and final New Year's Six bowl game before we get to the conference playoff, before we get to the playoff matchups, is the Rose Bowl at 4 o'clock on ESPN on January 2nd between Utah and Penn State. My friend is a huge Penn State fan, and I do believe Penn State will get the win over Utah. Utah obviously losing to Florida at the beginning of the year. But they have bounced back, and they were the Pac-12 champs. But I just think Penn State's offense will be too much to handle for Utah's defense. Therefore, Penn State will win this game. Penn State's 2 quarterbacks are also amazing. And the college football playoff semifinals, the Fiesta Bowl and the Peach Bowl between Michigan and TCU, and the Peach Bowl between Georgia and Ohio State. I do believe Michigan will win this game against TCU. As much as I would love to see TCU win this game, I don't think it's going to happen. Michigan's offense is just too high-powered, and they compete in the Big Ten, in the Big 12 rather, which has no defense. That is the least defensive conference in the nation. So I do believe Michigan will win this game because of their high-powered offense and their great defense as well. Putting up 42 points against Ohio State is just unheard of. So Michigan wins this game. They go to the national championship game. And finally, the last bowl game, the last semifinal, is going to be the Peach Bowl. Georgia and Ohio State, basically a home game for Georgia, if you ask me. Again, Georgia has 2 home games basically in a row. They don't really have to travel that far. Therefore, I do believe Georgia will win this game. Georgia's offense looks amazing, and I don't think Ohio State's defense can stop Georgia and Stetson Bennett. And Georgia's defense looks amazing as well, and I do believe their defense will stop C.J. Stroud from winning this game, which leads us to the national championship game, a rematch between Georgia and Michigan. I do believe Georgia will win this game because, again, of their offense. Their offense has been putting up numbers throughout the season, and Michigan, their defense just can't handle Georgia's offense. We saw this last year in the semifinal. So I do believe Georgia wins this game and they will get their second straight national championship. That is going to be all for predicting the bowl games, but we do have one more thing to predict, as tonight is the Heisman finalist. I think Caleb Williams is the clear front runner for the Heisman finalist. What he's done with USC, only having 2 losses, and I just believe Caleb Williams is a better quarterback than C.J. Stroud and Max Duggan and those 3 playoff or Heisman semifinalists rather. So I do believe Caleb Williams wins the Heisman, but that is going to be all for today's video. Let me know what you guys thought of the video in the comments down below. I know it was long. Let me know if you got to the end of the video. And let me know if you agree with any of the bowl games that I predicted. Agree, disagree. Drop a comment in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on the upcoming bowl games. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you guys want to stay up to date on all things related to sports. We will post daily. Ben will be hopping on the channel here shortly, so we should be getting some videos from him as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and peace. I will be watching the World Cup semifinals today, so peace.